Now I'd like to talk about your commitment to jiu-jitsu. In the last video, I talked about the difference in teaching dynamics and people being in class, not being in class. And when I talk about commitment, most people think that I'm talking about your ability to be in class. And actually, that's the least worry in my mind. People love jiu-jitsu, they're here all the time. For me, commitment is like the movie Gattaca. Now, that's an old movie. So those of you who haven't seen it, maybe we've got some younger crowd. Gattaca was about genetically modified people. Like they started altering people before they were born. And so we had these really good physical specimens getting born. And the movie focused on the time when those people that were genetically modified were in the same world and living and competing for jobs and opportunities with people that were not genetically modified. Just imagine today, if that started to happen, there would be some controversy. There would be some parents that choose to do it right away, and some parents that think that it's not a great idea. Regardless of what side you're on, let's talk about commitment. So, the main point in this movie was the guy, the main character, wanted to be an astronaut. The problem is that he was a not genetically modified baby, and so he didn't have a lot of the gifts physically, intellectually, that some of these genetically modified people had. And so the movie goes back and forth. He ends up hiring a guy to basically body double for him that was genetically modified. Now, this guy was a specimen. And growing up, I think he had a brother, I could be wrong, but he had a brother, I think, and they used to have this competition. And the brother was genetically modified. Now, this competition was to swim across this channel. And the channel was a really big channel, and at the end of their workout, they would swim. And the non-genetically modified guy would always win. Now, they would meet back at the house, and it really bothered the genetically modified brother. Like, blew his mind that he knew he was smarter, faster, stronger, all of these things, and his weaker, inferior brother beat him every time. It just angered him. And hopefully you're not going back to look at this movie. If you are, you should turn off this video now, but we're gonna talk about the punchline on that. Later on in the movie, it comes out, this channel, they would swim from the beach, and they would get out, and they would see who could swim the furthest. And the genetically modified brother, he would get out and he would be doing mental math in his head. He'd say, I have to turn back because if I don't, I'm gonna drown. And so he would turn back at 40%. He'd get 40% of the way out there, he's tired, 40%, I need to turn back. 45%, 46%. You never go to 50%, because then you drown before you get back to the beach. You never go to 60% for sure. You wouldn't even see the beach, you drown. And so what would end up happening is he would never get all the way across the channel. Whereas the brother, he never saved anything for the return trip. He always committed to swimming all the way across the channel. Now, the brother didn't understand that because they met back at the house. And so I see this time and time again in jiu-jitsu. And I'm going to use closed guard as an example. Closed guard is like the base, home base for beginners. White belt, blue belt, it's all about closed guard. Purple belt, brown belt, you start moving into some open guards. Black belt, you go back to closed guard. Closed guard's the jam, okay? But we approach it totally differently. The white belt and blue belt, when they get to closed guard, they're safe. They're holding them in their legs. We'll use a scissor sweep as an example. It's time to sweep their opponent. They open their legs, but they never commit to the sweep. They only commit 40% to the sweep. Why? They're afraid they're going to have their guard passed. They're afraid to open their legs. They go to open their legs, they get their legs jumped over, they get to side control. Bummer. Hey, that happens. That's the cost of doing business sometimes, especially against a good training partner, a good opponent. When you open your legs, they might pass to side control. But you know side control escapes. You know how to shrimp, you know how to get back in control, right? You know how to get back into the game. You know your elbow roll, you know how to underhook and come out the back, all of those things for side control. That's a different problem. But if you're only committing 40% to your scissor sweep, how are you supposed to sweep someone that is committing 100% to their defenses? They're not going to commit 50% to their defense. They commit everything. the same way you should be committing everything to your scissor sweep. So when you open your legs, you need to disengage with your hips a little bit. Your heel shouldn't be plastered against your bottom. You should turn your hip over. There should be a kicking, swishing motion. But a lot of you go, open your legs, oh no, back. Open your legs, oh no, back. And then the whole match takes place in closed guard. Commit to your scissor sweep. And committing all by itself will up the percentage of finishing it. Not because you're more technical at it, but because you really tried to do it. Even if you elicit responses from them, and those responses include them passing, there's power in knowing that they're going to pass. When you learn their classical defenses against a fully committed scissor sweep, you can start responding to those things. But if you never commit, you can't ever swim the channel. And a lot of you won't commit all the way. You commit 60% and then you drown, right? It wasn't even a real threat. They didn't even have to defend against that. They just hop over your leg. Make them defend by committing to your techniques, whether it's the scissor sweep, whether it's the arm bar, whether it's the De La Riva pass. If you get swept, you get swept. That's what happens. That's what training is for. But if you don't commit, you can never really get your sweeps or your techniques. So if you ever hear me at a tournament and I'm coaching one of my guys and I'm saying swim the channel, that's talking about commitment. And it's not about commitment being in class. It's about commitment and belief to your jiu-jitsu. Have faith in your jiu-jitsu, have faith in your instruction, commit to your techniques, because it will be way more powerful.